Staff of the National Identification Authority Division of the Public Services Workers Union declare an indefinite strike over non-payment of operational support allowance since January of 2025.
Also to come, Civil and Local Government Staff Association file an injunction to restrain the National Labour Commission from interfering with the ongoing strike by staff of the Birth and Death Registry.
A lot later, that war in the Middle East, Iran and Israel, agreed to a ceasefire following 12 days of exchanging intense airstrikes, including a last-minute barrage by Tehran.
You're welcome to our newscast tonight. This is News Central. I'm Kemeni Amano.
And I am Mawina Egbeta. Welcome to the bulletin this afternoon.
Well, this afternoon, staff of the National Identification Authority across Ghana have begun an indefinite strike effective Tuesday, June 24th, 2025, over government's failure to resume payment of their operational support allowances. The operational support allowance was the outcome of a negotiated agreement reached in July of last year between the union and the government of Ghana at the time, represented by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission and the Ministry of Finance. Now, payments began in August 2024, but abruptly stopped in January of 2025 without explanation. Well, let's bring you more on the story. Armstrong Goldalogbe is a reporter on this beat. He's been sniffing around. Armstrong, good afternoon to you. What can you report from where you are?
Here at the head office of the NIA, where we are told currently the leadership of NIA and that of Wages Commission are in a meeting, and we are keeping the media men outside until the meeting is over. But what I can report is that we have the union members currently taking part in the nationwide strike, where we have the non-union members working. So if you are a client and you visit the NIA head office, you'll be attended to. Currently, also told that other activities or issuing of cards for the general public have been moved to the regional office, where currently we are told the strike is biting harder. So right from here, we are going to go to the regional office and see what exactly the situation is over there. But here at the head office, there's a meeting going on between the Fair Wages Commission and that of the head office, the leadership of the NIA here coming.
And I'd like to believe this meeting is to forge a way forward.
Sorry?
I'm asking, sniffing around, I'd like to believe this meeting is to forge a way forward.
Yes, very well. So the head of PRO told us that this is to see how they can resolve amicably these issues, so they can immediately call off the strike. So we are told in the next 2 hours or so, the meeting will come to an end, and they will know whether the strike is going to continue beyond today or they are going to call it off.
But let's talk about the impact it's having so far. What can you report on that?
So the impact here at the head office is not being felt because they've transferred every single activities here to the original office. So you will not see much of clients here, unless clients who have no idea that the head office is no longer issuing cards to the general public. So over here, you will not see any impact taking place unless we move all the way to the regional office, which is, we are told, is around the Accra City Campus area. So immediately we move from here, we'll visit the City Campus area where the regional office is located to find out how exactly this is impacting on the general public community.
I see. How long has this meeting been going on? The meeting between at the head office between the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission and the NIA authorities?
So we saw the leadership from the Fair Wages Commission coming in about some 30 minutes ago, and they moved into the meeting not quite long ago, less than 20 minutes. So we were given opportunity to first move in and see what was going to transpire in there. But then immediately they were asked to move out for the meeting to continue. So as it stands right now, I can report that the meeting started some few minutes ago, less than 20 minutes. Hopefully, we are told in the next 2 hours or so, the meeting will come to an end, and then they can now give us an update whether or not they've concluded on the way forward, Kemeni.
I see. Now, talk to us again. What are the grievances of the staff of the NIA? Hello, Armstrong. It would appear Armstrong kind of here. So let's get onto the phone lines again and speak to William Ampoma Emmanuel Dallas, who's head of corporate affairs at the NIA. Good afternoon to you, Williams. These concerns that you raise, again, let's go over it again. You say that you had negotiated something in 2024, your allowance in 2024, and then payment stopped in 2025. Is that the case?
Right, good afternoon. First of all, let me say I empathize with the union, and from the journey so far, they have every right to take the decision they have taken, except to plead with them to refine that decision and then come to the table. As we speak, I was in a meeting with the CEO for Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to deliberate on the way forward. I listened halfway to your interview with the union rep, and looking at the journey he chronicled, yes, there was an agreement somewhere last year. I have in my hand a letter that was written from the Finance Ministry to the Controller and Accountant General, and the receipt date on it is on 10th October 2024. And they had two agreements. The first agreement was that the authority, that is the National Identification Authority, should use its IGF to pay for these compensations or the allowances between 1st August 2024 to 31st December 2024. And per my checks, that was done. Now, the second agreement was that the National Identification Authority should take steps to incorporate that in our 2025 budget so that we will move it from our IGF, and then government will make provisions for it in the 2025 budget. That was done. And you see, with your permission, let me run you through how these budgets are done. When the authority sits with its management and then the finance team, we prepare our activities for the year. After that is done, there's a system you upload your activities into called the Hyperion. Once we upload that into the systems, if the Finance Ministry has issue with regards to any of the figures in there, they will revert and then we reconcile before they pull it out to appropriation. To the best of the knowledge of the authority, all these things were done. The ministry did not revert to us that they had issues with the amount we put in there. And so we have started the processes. As of last week, we had gotten a letter from the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to the Finance Ministry, asking them to give Controller and Accountant General the go-ahead to pay the 20% to our staff. Unfortunately, there was a meeting yesterday, and the Finance Ministry tells us when they were migrating the authority from the budget of the Office of Government Machinery to the Interior Ministry, they did not move that 16 million allocation they made.
I see.
And so, yes, so that is why they've not been able to pay. But then they've given us the assurance that
this,
in the media budget...
Hang on, Williams. We'll talk about that assurance, but if the money was not moved, since when? Because the staff say that they haven't received it since January. So when was it identified that the money had not been moved?
Okay, so after budgeting, I think the ministry is supposed to release the money to the various institutions and agencies. Now, as I said earlier, with all the documentations available, we were of the belief that once those allocations were not questioned and was uploaded into the Hyperion, the appropriation has been done. And so the money is sitting in our budget, waiting for it to be disbursed so we can, the controller and accountant general can pay our staff. So we got hint of this message yesterday from the ministry that as they were migrating the authority from the Office of Government Machinery budget, they did not move that allocation. So the money is still sitting in the Government of Office Machinery budget.
I see.
So they can only move it in the mid-year budget. So now we are looking at ways we can at least commit to paying a month or two from whatever sources we are able to get the money from, so that we wait till the ministry is able to move the money in the mid-year budget so they can subsequently pay our staff.
I see. And do you think that the staff will want to wait some 2 months more to receive this allowance?
As I speak with you, they know the journey we've all embarked together. And so they know management sides with them. It's unfortunate this had to happen. That is why we're calling them back to the table, because we have shown good faith throughout the journey.
I see.
And we believe that once we sit and put our proposal before them, they will accept, resign their decision, and go back to their various offices.
Williams, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for talking to us. Williams Ampoma Dallas is PRO for the National Identification Authority. Now, while the staff remain on strike, we'll take you across the Ashanti Regional Capital now because the National Identification Authority office there, which is usually bustling with long queues, has come to a standstill for obvious reasons. Ibrahim Abubakar is our correspondent there. He's joining us with more from the Ashanti Regional Office of the NIA. Ibrahim, again, good afternoon to you. What else can you report?
Well, Kemini, like you rightly mentioned, these are offices that are quite busy on a daily basis, but today the situation is quite different. In the morning, a lot of people, hundreds of people were there to be able to see whether they will be able to access their Ghana card, only to be told that the staff are on strike. In fact, most of them were disappointed because they told me that yesterday they were there, they were scheduled to come today for their cards, only to be given this unfortunate news. And you know how critical Ghana card has become in our day-to-day activity. This is a card that people need it. They have appointment for passport interview for today. They needed it. Others are racing against time to register for their national service. Others also even for their registration in schools. And they thought that today or tomorrow they will be able to get their Ghana card to complete this registration. But then they came there and they were told that the officers are on strike. Now the challenge is they do not even know when these workers will resume their services for them to also be able to plan ahead. So it's a lot of frustration. You go there, the aged are there, others waiting for this card to be able to even change details so that they will be able to get their pension funds, and they are all left there frustrated. For the manager today, he is there, but the workers keep leaving because they have to comply with the strike directive. Earlier, I engaged with some of the applicants, and let's listen to what they have been sharing with us.
have spelling mistake on my Ghana card, and I was directed to come here. I came here, that was 2 days ago. So, and I was asked to come back with my school certificates. That's WASI certificates. So this morning, I didn't hear anything about any strike going on. So that's why I'm here this morning, but only to be told that they are on strike. We're just about to start our national service, and they are requiring this Ghana cards as part of our documentation. So if I don't get it on time, it's going to affect me.
I'm here to get a replacement for my Ghana card because I was robbed last week, Saturday. Came here yesterday for it, but due to the network system, they couldn't do it, so they told me to come this morning. And this morning when I came to, they said that they are on strike. Which yesterday they did not tell me anything, so right now I'm confused on why yesterday they did not tell us that they were going on strike.
Well, some applicants who needed the services of the NIA in the Ashanti Regional Office. Earlier was Ibrahim Abubakar, Ashanti Region correspondent. We'll continue to keep an eye on this story and bring you how it develops.
Let's stay on the subject of labor, because the Ghana Education Service is this afternoon appealing for coordinated, unified and consistent representation from teachers to help streamline engagement processes with them. It follows a picketing exercise by a number of aggrieved teachers who were raising red flags over non-payment of salaries for the last 10 months. After conversations, the aggrieved teachers agreed to not spend the night at the Ghana Education Service premises with the promise of their concerns being addressed. Well, the Ghana Education Service says the concerns of the teachers are being addressed, but they're asking the leadership of the teachers to be united to allow efficient communication and a redress of their concerns. They've issued a statement seeking to, amongst many other things, detail the progress of work, where they are, where all of this started from. Let's try and walk you through that this afternoon as it comes up on your screens right now. And so it starts off with what the GES says is a reason for the delay. And so for starters, they say 12,000 plus teachers were posted as at last year, around September, thereabout. A number of them received that crucial staff ID, but 2,113 had their staff IDs but could not be paid due to the expiration of financial clearance. Then out of the over 12,000, 582 of them as well did not receive their staff IDs because of delays in documentation, which ranged from inconsistencies in their SNIT numbers, Ghana card details, and instances of self-reposting. Now, what GES says they've done in relation to the challenges, we'll see that first, but this as well is the concern they are raising, amongst many other things this afternoon, on the many challenges currently being experienced. And of the things they say they've done to try and resolve the challenge, the first is that letters have been sent to the Finance Ministry requesting extension of the expired financial clearance, and they add that there's been budgetary allocation in 2025, and so these teachers should not be worried, and that they've been captured in the budget as was read by the Finance Minister, Dr. Kesiel Atto-Forson. Then the Ghana Education Service as well says that they're actively working to resolve recruitment backlogs and to prevent recurrence by addressing systemic issues in the recruitment process. Let's take you to where they are raising concerns as well this afternoon in relation to the leadership and the unionism of these teacher groups. They say that they are appealing to these teachers to have a coordinated, unified, and consistent representation from all of them to help streamline the engagement. Because whilst they appreciate the frustration of the affected teachers, it is important to note that significant progress has been made and that they will do all they can to ensure that all of these teachers receive their salaries. That's the latest from the Ghana Education Service. And so we're not expecting that these teachers will be making a return to the premises of the Ghana Education Service. Let's go on phone right now. Simon Kofi is convener of the aggrieved teachers. He's joined us with a bit more. Mr. Simon, I appreciate you speaking to us. The GES says that Your concerns have been heard. They are working on it. But of the many things, you seem to have a lot of scattered groupings. Why don't you all come together so that they can head on address your concerns? How do you respond to this?
Thank you very much, and then good afternoon to your listeners and then your viewers. We want to thank the GES at least for responding to our petition as early as possible. And so, just as they have said, we are looking forward that everything that they have promised will be delivered in the very soon caption that is given. But with the issue of leadership, you know, the issue is not limited to only one sector, or let me say one region. We are affected across the country. And it got to a time when one region decided to come and then work on their issue alone. And that is how come when they came, they brought their leadership. And this time around, we've seen that we can't be handling the issues on regional basis. And so we need to come together as affected staff so that we work together. And so that's how come yesterday when we came, it was more of new faces and not the old faces, because the old faces, majority of them have had their issues resolved. Right,
but of the many challenges the GES says has contributed to why you've not received your salaries, they say there are inconsistencies in your documentation. Were your members notified about these inconsistencies for them to try and resolve them?
We will be glad if they could do that publication, if not by themselves, through our regional IPPDs and then our district IPPDs, so that those who are affected who have their documents reviewed. Because to the best of my knowledge, we went through these processes back in July and then August before we resumed work officially on the September 10th. So if there were irregularities, I mean, it should have been rectified long ago and not now. And so are they trying to say that our system is that weak to be unable to identify such irregularities?
Well, that's a question they will have to answer. We're just asking the questions based on what they say they found out is the basis upon which you have not received your salaries. And so you're asking them to, by themselves, notify your IT directors in the respective district. What are you going to be doing on your part, because you're the ones who need the money as well, even as these challenges have come up?
At the moment, we have just decided to wait patiently as they have promised. We know we have a new case, and then we wouldn't want to do anything to complicate the issue as it stands now. Once they've given the assurance that they've worked to the final stage of the whole process, and so very soon we are going to get our IDs and then our salaries. We are waiting for them until next validation. If after next validation we do not hear anything, then I think we'll have to come back stronger.
Right then, Mr. Simon, I appreciate you speaking to us. That's Kofi Simon. He's what part of the leadership of the teachers who were yesterday present at the Ghana Education Services headquarters here. They say they wait patiently for the steps as taken by the Ghana Education Service for their salaries to be paid. But I mentioned it's an afternoon where the bulletin is packed with quite a number of labor issues, and we're going on to the next one because the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana, CLOGSAG, has secured a court injunction against the National Labour Commission. The injunction, according to CLOGSAG, is to prevent the National Labour Commission from interfering in the ongoing strike. CLOGSAG is currently on strike, claiming that its members at the Births and Deaths Registry are being verbally assaulted by the registrar, Samuel Adum Boche. Isaac Bampoado is the Executive Secretary of CLOGSAG. He's joined us this afternoon on phone. Mr. Bampoado, many thanks for speaking to us. Let's start off with this decision by CLOGSAG to go to court seeking an injunction against the National Labour Commission. Why this course of action?
Well, first and foremost, let me make this statement that we believe in the National Labour Commission and we believe in the structures outlined in our Labour Act. What we are saying is that the National Labour Commission, as it stands as of now, has not been properly constituted. We all are aware that the presidential transition states that
whenever there's a change of government, statutory bodies are dissolved, and that calls for fresh nominations. To the best of our knowledge, organized labor has not given fresh nominations to its reps on the National Labor Commission. So we think that it's not been properly constituted, and this is what we want the courts to determine. The second one on the issue relating to... Come again?
No, proceed. I'll ask the next question after you're done.
Yeah, the second one relating to our issue on the best in this registry. What we are saying is that we went to that meeting called by the National Labor Commission. We introduced ourselves. We asked them to introduce themselves. They refused to do it, which was an indication that there was even no quorum. And we were at a loss at who were the reps that were in the meeting. And so those are issues that we think the court must determine.
So the court is yet to make a determination on this application that you filed, but you're seeking that the mere filing of the process will prevent or stay their hand from proceeding to a different high court to seek to stop you from this industrial action.
Come again?
I'm saying that the court is yet to make a determination on this injunction that you filed, correct?
Yeah.
And so this course of action is you trying to stay the hand of the National Labor Commission from proceeding to a high court to stop you from your industrial action.
Well, what we are saying is that what we are saying that because it's not been properly constituted, they cannot take an action against us.
Right.
Because you must properly be constituted before you can take cases as a National Labor Commission. But once you not be constituted, what action can you take? You not be properly constituted, what action can you take against us? That's the issue.
Right. Ms. Ado, let's come to the basis upon which you're on this industrial action. You say abuse by the registrar of the births and deaths registry. Some will easily say this is a resurgence of your earlier industrial action, which you raised concerns about his appointment to start off with. You've just masked this under a new cloak, and you're seeking to go back on strike over the same man.
The issue is this. Our Labor Act provides for a conducive working conditions. And so, and even our Constitution guarantees that. So, anytime this environment is threatened, now we as a labor union, we need to come in. What we are saying that the atmosphere now at best is not conducive for our members to work.
Have you engaged the registrar in question as to this non-conducive environment?
We have engaged all bodies relating to these issues. We've engaged the head of civil service. We've engaged the Minister for Employment about this issue. That the conditions that is prevailing as of now is not conducive for our people to work. You cannot go to work and then you are verbally assaulted. You cannot go to work and someone says, I'm a lion. I can do what? If you're a lion, go to the jungle. Go and stay in the jungle. You cannot be in a civil service in an institution if you're a lion. These are issues that we've complained about. And it must be addressed. Because the environment is not good for us. And that's our issue. Thank you very much.
Just finally, Mr. Bampo, just before you leave us, you've raised these concerns. What would it take to have you return, to have your members return to work and for this industrial action to be called? Because you mentioned you've raised or drawn the attention of relevant authorities to this behavior. Mr. Bampoado? Well, it does appear Isaac Bampoado is the Executive Secretary of CLOGSAG. Is no longer with us on the telephone line, but he says that the NLC, as it is right now, not properly constituted. Hence, they've taken this matter up to the High Court, seeking to have it injuncted and prevented from in any way at all interfering with any of the matters of which they are seeking to have redresses done at the Births and Deaths Registry. This is still News Central. We're going for our very first break. When we return, we have a bit more for you because the Attorney General says he'll be calling 8 witnesses to testify in the Skytrain scandal involving former board chair of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, Professor Christopher Ameyaw-Kumfi, and the ex-Chief Executive, Solomon Asamoah. Details if you stay with us.
Welcome back. It's still News Central here on TV3. Let's go to the courts now, where the Attorney General will call 8 witnesses to testify in the Skytrain scandal involving former board chair of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, Professor Christopher Ameyaw-Kumfi, and ex-Chief Executive Solomon Asamoah. Prosecution notified the Accra High Court during a case management conference on Tuesday. The 2 former GIIF officials have been charged with multiple offences, including causing financial loss to the state, intentional dissipation of public funds. They have pleaded not guilty and are on bail at the moment, while Professor Ameyaw-Kumfi is on a 10 million cedi bail with 2 sureties to be justified. Solomon Asamoah has been granted a 15 million cedi bail with 2 sureties also to be justified. Lord Eduasare is our court correspondent following this story. Lord, good afternoon. What more can you report on the case management conference today? 8 witnesses, you say?
Right, Kemini. And so basically, the prosecution led by Chief State Attorney Tefako Bache indicated to the court that they were withdrawing 4 witnesses that they had earlier filed their witness statements to rely on. Now, these persons include Setnana Kwame Osei, Benjamin Nate Abokwa, Reginald Okai, and Chief Inspector Kesti. There was another witness statement by a staff officer, Francis Abuaje, that they had filed on June 3 that they were withdrawing, but they indicated that they were going to replace that with a later witness statement on June 10 that they had filed. But the other four that are just outlining their names, their testimony is now going to be recounted by the prosecution. Now, in their state, the Chief State Attorney indicated that we're going to call on 8 more witnesses, and I'll quickly spell them out. They are Odame Dakwa, Kofi Boache, Andrews Ejinin Boateng, Mami Ifua Chewa Apebiu, Yvonne Adole Soa, Honorable Chineboa Kodia, Tislia Gombria, and the staff officer Francis Abuaje. But the lawyers, defense lawyers for both Professor Mayor Kunfi and then Solomon Asamoah, they indicated that they hadn't been served, and so the judge in the matter asked the prosecution to actually give them 48 hours to serve the defense lawyers with these documentation. Now, the lawyer for Professor Mayor Kunfi, Duke Aaron Sasu, he attempted to file or move a motion that he had filed early on. He told the court that he had filed an application, which in essence is supposed to be heard on July 9, and so even before he could talk about the application, the presiding judge, Comfort Aseme, stood him down and told him that they should just wait until the July 9, where that application will be moved. And at this, I'm taking and realize that application has to do with the defense lawyer for Professor Mayor Kunfi referring the matter to the Supreme Court and also wanting the Accra High Court to strike out the charges against his client, describing it as premature. So he's asking, at the case at the Supreme Court, he's asking for a constitutional interpretation of the Public Property Protection Decree 1997 or the Protection Act 1977, and it has to do with the Section 1 and then Section 7. We'll go a bit more details into that later, but before the Supreme Court to hear this matter, they wanted Accra High Court to stay proceedings, and so that was why the presiding judge adjourned the matter to July 9 to rule on that application that has been filed by the lawyer for Professor Mayor Kunfi Kemini.
Indeed, and then also we know the defense lawyers filed an application to vary the bail terms for Professor Kunfi and Solomon Asamoah. How did that go? What happened to that?
Yes. We're actually expecting that to come up today because at the last adjourned date, both lawyers for Solomon Asamoah and then Professor Mayor Kunfi wanted the High Court to vary the reporting terms of their clients. Now, per the bail terms of Professor Mayor Kunfi, he's supposed to report to the police investigator once a week. We know he's on a 10 million cedi bill to be justified, the 2 sureties to be justified. And then Solomon Asamoah, he has been reporting to the investigator 3 times a week. And so they wanted the court to vary this bail terms. But when the case was called, that matter did not come up at all. They did not mention it because at the last time the judge had directed them that they formally filed the application because at the last time they just made an oral prayer and they didn't do so today. When I inquired further, one of the lawyers indicated to me that from the posturing of Justice Tasiame, they got the sense that if they had filed the application, there are 2 things that would have happened. Either she would dismiss it entirely or she would rather extend or increase the number of time that their clients are supposed to report to the investigators. And so they advised themselves and decided to refrain altogether. They can be back in court on July 9, where the court will make that decision on the application filed by the lawyer for Professor Mayor Kunfi.
Very well. Lord Edu Asare is court correspondent.
Let's start regional hub from up north because newly confirmed district chief executive for the Pandai district, Haruna Abdul Karim, has given a firm commitment to collaborate with relevant stakeholders to ensure that the challenges of the district, such as land boundary disputes, lack of basic social amenities like water and healthcare, are tackled head-on. He also urged the residents of the Pandai district to prioritize peace to ensure development. Haruna Abdul Karim was addressing assembly members of the Pandai District Assembly after securing 100% confirmation as a DCE for the area. Christopher Marco was there, partook in the exercise, didn't vote, but covered it all through for us. He's joining us right now with a bit more. Chris, let's start off with the fact that they finally have a DCE. What are some of the pressing challenges within the district? Reason why we're hearing the new DCE make some of these rather bold claims?
Yes, so, Mariana, you remember that before the nomination of Mr. Harun as the DC for the Pandai district, there were two press conferences calling on the president to nominate someone who can support in the development of the area. And so, having been nominated and confirmed, the DC gave the assurance to the residents that true to their words, he has been given the opportunity. He's a four-term assembly member for one of the electoral areas in the Pandai district, and having worked closely with the assembly, he is optimistic that coming in, the issues of water, the issues of health, the issues of road network will see some improvement under his tenure. And so he's also been calling on the residents and other stakeholders to give him the necessary support that will enable him deliver on some of these promises. Let's take a listen to what he's been telling the people of Pandai.
Right, Chris, a bit of a challenge in hearing from him, but there have been reactions as well to what he's been saying. Walk us through what the expectation of the people are, considering he's coming in with a wealth of experience as a four-term assembly member.
For the residents, they are not surprised that he's been given the opportunity because of his vast experience that he's gathered as an assemblyman of one of the electoral areas. Now, they also expect him to do different things that will also see Pandai get some needed development, because over the years they have argued that the previous DCs who have come before him, even though they have done their best in developing Pandai, but did not meet the expectations of the people. So they believe that coming in and having that experience, he is going to, as it were, collaborate with the people, ensure that his doors are always open to the people for development.
Right, Chris, let's hear from the DC now, and then possibly as well hear from the resident. But let's hear from the DC first.
A humble appeal to the Honorable Regional Minister and all of you to assist me to confront those challenges so that the district development will enhance holistically. Honorable Regional Minister, let me assure you that my administration will do everything possible to have a district in which the comfort and security of the people is guaranteed in order to improve their socio-economic livelihood.
A leader, let me use that word. What I have to do to support the current DC that have been approved today to deliver on the present mandate. We have a manifesto. We have promised the people of Ghana, and we must, it's a must, that have to deliver. And that is why I'm calling all the youth and the leadership of the party, more particularly the leadership in Bandai constituency, who should stand up for the youth to respect us.
And you heard some of the assembly members as well. Chris, I appreciate you speaking to us. That's Christopher Marco, my colleague in the northern part of the country.
In other news, officials of the Western Regional Directorate of the National Disaster Management Organization are urgently calling for major rehabilitation of their office building, citing serious structural defects that pose a threat to their safety and hinder effective operations. Here's a report by Stephen Kujo.
Despite being tasked with managing disasters, the regional NADMO office itself is battling a disaster of its own. The building housing the directorate is riddled with deep cracks, a collapsing ceiling, and an office that floods whenever it rains. Staff say the unsafe condition often disrupt work and endanger their lives, with frequent invasion of snakes and other reptiles.
I sit, but because of the snake, there are holes here, so I had to change my sitting place to here because it's very scary. It's scary. The last time there was, even just yesterday, it was coming, we got a call from the down office that there's a snake climbing. It tried to enter the other offices, but since it couldn't, it was coming up, so we all had to go outside and wait outside. So
beyond the crumbling structure, the office is severely under-resourced, making the performance of administrative functions a constant struggle.
We don't really have a working computer, and we lack equipment to actually work because of what I just said. Our systems are all outdated and then they are broken down. So that has actually impeded our work because even sending a memo is a problem. Sending out reports is a problem. Printing out stuff is a problem.
With the deteriorating state of the office, Daniel Darlington Atiso, the newly appointed NADMO director, bemoaned the wanton disregard for maintaining of state property and however pledged to resource the office.
Is that we are not taking good care of government property, because this is not this is not an individual house or individual office. It belongs to the government, which has to do with Ghanaians, taxpayers' money. So if we are, in fact, just sitting on aloof, unconcerned, then it means that we are not taking good care of government property. So that is why I am saying that, having been in place regional director of NADMO, there's a lot of things that I'm going to say down and then make sure that government properties are put in place, rather than just sitting aloof. Deteriorate.
Recent revelation emanating from the Western Regional NADMO Directorate is sparking public concern following reports of a mass looting of relief items from its warehouse. This incident raises serious questions about the office preparedness and capacity to effectively respond to disaster, especially as the rainy season intensifies across the region. Stephen Kujo, TV3, Takrady.
Now, despite the critical role in food production, women farmers in Ghana struggle with limited access to farm inputs and machinery, holding back their productivity and economic growth. But change is coming. Women farmer groups in the Ashanti and Central regions have received a major boost, essential tools to transform their work.
Women constitute a substantial portion of Ghana's agricultural workforce, contributing significantly to food production and household nutrition. Yet, they face systemic barriers, including limited access to credit, unequal land rights, and outdated farming methods. Recognizing this gap, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, in partnership with Care Ghana and Cargill Ghana, is stepping in to empower women-led producer groups with vital agro-processing equipment to improve food security. 5 cocoa growing communities in Ashanti and Central regions have been supported with essential agro-processing tools.
Presidential engagement, the King will meet with officials at the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat before departing for Kumasi later in the day. Now, in Kumasi, King Eswatini III will be the distinguished guest of the Asantehene, Otumfuo Osei II. Our presidential correspondent, Komla Kluche, is at the airport now, joins us with a bit more.
From your shot, you can see the king. The king has just disembarked from the flight, accompanied presumably by his wife, being given a welcome by that young lady in your picture over there, been given a flower, also been received by the chief of staff who is representing the president. Exchange of pleasantries ongoing there in your shot, and he's making his way towards the Jubilee Lounge now, where there are senior government officials lined up over there who he would be exchanging the pleasantries with as well. But the presence of him in the country also followed. The very last time a high-ranking government official was in his country was last year, when the foreign minister, then foreign minister Shirley Ayokoboche, was in his country to partake in a cultural event where some 30,000 women danced. It's a cultural thing about them which they showcase. And so the bilateral relations or multilateral relations span just beyond just what the cameras or the optics are. Tourism as well will be very high, one of which we also have the Minister for Tourism also here at the Jubilee Lounge to welcome you, and also as part of the visit to the Mensah Palace and also the House of Chiefs would be to showcase some amount of tourism and also to discuss how mutual tourism agreement or culture will play a role for these countries. And so in your picture over there, you can see him doing a dance, the chief of staff showing him a little dance over there, and he's enjoying it, obviously, and his wife looking on over there in your shorts. There's a cultural troupe from the National Dance Ensemble who are here just welcoming him. Now he's headed towards the main entrance of the Jubilee Lounge, where Ghana's chief diplomat and the foreign minister, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, are there in your shot with the Minister for Tourism. I can also see the Deputy Minister for Works and Housing. There's also the Minister for Works and Housing. Also in your shot over the senior government officials who are welcoming him and exchanging pleasantries with him. The Deputy Government Spokesperson, Shamin Muslim, also in the show. Right from here, he will be moving to the Jubilee House, or the seat of government, where he will be holding bilateral meetings with the president, who we understand would also be joined by the First Lady, because this is a very high-level meeting that would be held. This is a state visit by the king, and then shortly after that, he would be proceeding to Kumasi, where he would also be engaging or meeting the Otumfuo Osei II, the Asantehene. So the king just arrived, and he's exchanging the pleasantries with members of his community, his country, who are in Ghana here. He's exchanging the pleasantries with them as well. Just shortly after this, there will be a short welcome ceremony for him at the holding room of the VIP section here, and then he will just drive off and go straight to the seat of government, where His Excellency the President John Dramani Mahama is awaiting him for that bilateral and multilateral meeting, which is supposed to last for just a few hours, and then he will jet off to the Ashanti region. Coming in.
I see, Kamla. Do we know what his visit to the Ashanti region is for?
Well, the information we gather is primarily for some cultural relations and also tourism, but this is also at the behest of the Asantehene, who is a personal friend to him, we are told. But because it's a state visit, the presidency is equally involved. And so there is that coordination between government and Menchia regarding this. I've also seen the protocol office from Menchia who are here coordinating this as well. Mostly it would border on tourism, also looking at what they possess in terms of what is in that country when it comes to tourism and culture as well, which Menchia is rich in. And so it appears the culture and the tourism bit is quite high on the agenda. The more reason why they are quite involved in this, though.
We're here. Thank you so much for reporting. King Eswatini III has arrived in Ghana.
On that note, we'll take you outside of the country just briefly because Iran and Israel are reported to have agreed to a ceasefire following 12 days of exchanging intense airstrikes, including a last-minute barrage fired by Tehran. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a statement on Tuesday morning that Israel had agreed to the truce proposal announced by U.S. President Donald Trump overnight. Earlier, Iranian state television reported that the ceasefire had begun. The Israeli statement came not long after Trump had said in a post on social media that the ceasefire was underway, while Netanyahu threatened that Israel would respond forcefully to any violation of the ceasefire. The agreement raises hopes for a de-escalation in the conflict that intensified dramatically in recent days as the U.S. bombed Iran's nuclear facilities and Tehran attacked a U.S. base in Qatar. That should be pleasant news for anybody else because, as at yesterday, based on a number of the readings on the market, crude prices now back towards a downward trajectory, something that will excite a lot of Ghanaians, meaning possibly the projected hikes may not be what it is that we will see come July 2, and there could be implications as well for that levy government is proposing as well. There'll be a lot of conversations on that if you stay with us here on TV3, but that's our bulletin for you this afternoon. I am Mawina Igbeta.
And I am Kemini Amano. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Next is the afternoon show. Bye-bye from us.